Hey everyone. As I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted by the death of Screencast-O-Manic after 15 minutes, um, we were talking about just finishing up on the balance of payments, the current accounts, and the capital accounts. Just to summarize that, again, capital accounts are transactions involving the purchase of assets between countries. Okay, purchase of assets, and another definition would be the purchase of things that have to do with future production of the selling country. Okay, or the buying country, both. So it's a purchase of assets. Okay, the current account refers to transactions, the sum of transactions about trade, income from interest, direct payments, maybe through treaties, and transfer payments, which refer to payments that aren't exchanged evenly for a good or service. Okay, so we did say that, and this is what I wanted to get at here. We did say that by definition, the current account plus the capital account equals 0. So then, to rearrange the terms here, the current account, the balance that is, equals the negative of the capital. Okay, and there is intuitive sense to this, believe it or not. So the current account is basically net exports minus imports, minus the capital account, which is U.S. assets bought by foreign buyers, minus foreign assets bought by U.S. buyers. Okay? Okay. So, what does that mean? If these have to equal 0, okay, equals minus 1/3 of that, yeah. So, let me try to state that better. Okay. Since these two things have to equal 0, okay, if there is a surplus balance in net exports, there has to be an equal deficit in the capital account. Okay, and that makes sense. If there is a positive balance in the balance of trade, balance of payments, which happens about once every third ice age or something like that, what we're saying is that foreigners bought more of our products than we bought of foreign products. So that means, again, that there is more foreign money coming in to the U.S. to buy American products than U.S. money and assets are going out to buy foreign products. Okay, does that make sense? Money is an asset. So in buying American products, foreigners transfer their assets to American sellers there, basically. Okay, or the U.S. in essence is buying foreign assets by that. Now, the way it usually is, where the balance of trade and the net exports is negative, a trade deficit, of necessity, the capital account, if this is negative, the capital account has to be positive by the same balance. Now, since we're dealing with billions of dollars here, probably they're not exact to the penny. But for general purposes, it's as good as equal, okay? And that should make sense. Okay, well, now we move on to the exchange rate and the foreign exchange market. But think about that relationship there, and it does make some sense, even if the explanation didn't, as I said in the last one. Okay, so the exchange rate. The exchange rate, again, is one country's currency in its value in terms of another. Okay, so if the U.S. dollar, if the exchange rate, and the way we define it basically for this class is, and there's all sorts of exchange rates all over the world, but the exchange rate essentially is how much the quantity of foreign currency it takes to equal one U.S. dollar. Okay? There are implications to that. If the dollar goes up in value in terms of exchange rate, or the exchange rate goes up, it takes more foreign currency to buy one U.S. dollar. So, that being the case, American products are more expensive to foreigners, and since the dollar equals more foreign currency, foreign products are less expensive to American buyers. Okay? Now, and the opposite is true too, of course. And the market basically consists of, say, the exchange rate for us here, exchange rate. We have a demand for dollars and a supply for dollars, and where the equilibrium is basically the exchange rate here and the amount of dollars in the market here. Okay. Well, the exchange rate and this market is always at equilibrium, but the equilibrium moves all over the place. So what will happen then if the U.S. purchases foreign products? What they will do is they will try to get rid of their dollars in exchange for foreign market currency. So the supply of the exchange of dollars will increase, and the price of the exchange rate will go down. Okay, mitigating the expensiveness of the foreign products to a certain extent. But anyway, that's the way it goes, that each country buying another country's production will buy currency. So how do governments set exchange rates? Okay, there's a number of ways that they do it. One way that the book talks about is called free floating. Free floating is where the Treasury Department and central banks of different countries and the Fed and everybody else just trusts the market to make the right decisions. And so everything will be good, not putting any hands in the market, just letting the dollar float through space and time. Do they do that? Not on your life. That is fraught with danger. So free floating is an academic exercise. It really doesn't exist in the real world. The closest thing we have to free floating is what's called managed float. And the managed float is what the U.S. basically does now. In other countries, they will let the market work, but they want their currency to remain at a targeted range. So what will happen then, and that's quantity of dollars, say, if there's a if something happens that, say, that's a supply. So if something happens that raises the dollar too high, say there's a big demand for buying dollars, so the demand comes up here, and the rate is too high and they want it in this range, what the United States will do, the Treasury Department will do, is sell dollars, moving the supply out like that. And again, that is within a range. Okay. This is very much like, what do they call? I think the book calls it a fixed rate by intervention. Okay. Now, a fixed rate by intervention is what they used to do. Okay, and it's fixed. We'll talk about different ways of fixing it. So say fixing is not real good or completely good. There are bad things about it. Being fixed, just ask your cat if you have any doubts about that. So anyway, a fixed rate. Say the government wants its currency to be there. Okay, that is the currency that they want. Okay, so let's say there's a demand for the currency, the demand for currency and a supply. Okay, and the rate is lower. Okay, than they want it. So what'll happen is if this is dollars and the rates were fixed, the government would buy dollars, okay? And that would bring the maybe demand up, or it could decrease the supply like that, or it could decrease the supply a little bit and move the demand up to where it was. So that's free floating and managed float. We have another thing here where, and that'll probably be the subject of a short recording after this. We talk about a pegged rate, where the a currency is fixed to a third-party standard, like the commodity gold standard. Most countries are not in the gold standard now, but they're pegged to the dollar. A lot of countries are doing that. So we will cut this off right now, and we'll talk to you very shortly with the finale.